What's up guys, Wolf here. Welcome to another Diablo 4 build video. I'm going to showcase my new and improved best sorcerer build. This setup will allow you to go from level 1 to level 50. I'm not going to be speccing any points into my Paragon board, just utilizing the full skill tree. Now I will be showcasing gameplay from World Tier 3. This is up to you. It depends on your quality of loot. You don't have to play in World Tier 3. You can go higher or lower. But I wanted to showcase it on World Tier 3 in some of the dungeons so you can see just how insane this setup is, guys. The utility and damage is next level. And my previous Pyro version was good, but this is definitely leaps and bounds ahead of that. So I hope you do enjoy this video. If you do, please make sure to leave a like, subscribe. Let's get straight into it. I can enter any kind of situation in this game on World Tier 3 and absolutely delete all the enemies very, very quickly. I want to try and freeze as many enemies as possible and make them vulnerable. This is possible from the Frost Nova spell. Now, Frost Nova is one of the best, if not the best, sorcerer spells in the game, and I've got 2 charges because of a legendary aspect. I'll showcase all my synergies with my skill tree and my gear soon. But first, let's talk about how the build works and let me summarize how it actually functions. Then we can go in a bit more detail. So I'd go into an engagement and freeze and make vulnerable all the enemies with my Frost Novas. Then once I've done that, I can shoot my Ice Shards, which also make enemies vulnerable, but this does 25% multiplicative damage. The Ice Shards, when an enemy's frozen, will delete them. It'll go through elites, bosses, in a few seconds, melt them like butter. It's so satisfying and so incredibly overpowered. You guys need to try it before this gets nerfed. These Frost builds are going to be nerfed very soon. They're so good for CC and just plain old damage. Very, very fun to use as well. So when you chill enemies, that's going to eventually freeze them, but it takes a bit of time to actually freeze them. So we want to try and make them vulnerable and frozen. Now the great thing is once we've done that, we can utilize Arc Lash, which has a lot of utility there for survivability and for mana regeneration. Arc Lash is still really good even after the nerf, and I recommend it. The AoE damage is great. So once I've done all of this, I'm smacking them with my Arc Lash, I can initiate my Blizzard. Now I have got a very, very interesting legendary aspect which you need to farm, which allows me to spawn ice shards that blow up, or ice spikes that will explode every time I proc Blizzard. And my Blizzard lasts incredibly long, and it does multiplicative damage to frozen enemies as well. And it chills the enemies, so eventually they become frozen, which is really, really insane. So Blizzard, just by itself, when you put, it's like a cloud that rains ice down, guys. This is ridiculously strong. I can kill waves of enemies on World Tier 3 with just 2 Blizzards. It's just crazy how much damage it does, and it lasts for so long. There's so much utility going on there, and I love it. It freezes them. They can't come towards you. They just die so quickly. I love Blizzard. You need to give it a try. It's so good. Then I have got Ice Armor to get my mana regeneration back. There's so much going on here. It also blocks damage, absorb damage from bosses. Then I can also make use of a Deep Freeze, which just destroys everything all over me, or all around me, which is so satisfying and so incredibly strong. The synergy of this build is great, and I really do hope you guys enjoy it. Let's go through the skill tree. Starting with the basic skill, I've gone for the Arc Lash. This has been nerfed, but it's still really, really good, and I recommend it. It has a great area of effect, so you can hit enemies in an arc in front of you. It is really, really powerful, and it synergizes with other elements on this tree, which we'll get to shortly. So I definitely recommend utilizing Arc Lash. Then the core skills, I've got Fireball on just because of the enchantment effect. It's very, very powerful. Any way you kill an enemy, they will blow up. So make sure you guys utilize this in your enchantment. The other enchantment I've got is the Arc Lash enchantment, which is good when you use a cooldown. So when anything goes on cooldown, enemies around you are stunned for 0.7 seconds. That doesn't sound like much, but it makes a lot of a difference, especially considering that we've got other elements that help us, like regen mana or give us more damage. So make sure you guys have this activated as well. You can use whatever you want, and you can switch this up. Like you can use maybe Frostbolt or go for, I don't know, Frozen Orb. It's all up to you. Make sure to adapt the build to suit your own playstyle. You don't have to just copy it, but this is just for my testing and what I believe to be the better option, especially for my playstyle. So I've gone for Ice Shards. These are really, really good. They proc vulnerable because I've activated it here, which is very good. I recommend it. This is really, really nice. They bounce off of enemies that are frozen. Very powerful. The damage from this is really nice, especially when enemies are frozen. You can melt them almost instantaneously, even bosses. So make sure you guys activate this or give these a try. Then I've got Devastation, maximum mana is increased by 6. This doesn't seem like much. I'm still testing it. I might actually take this away and try something else that gives me a bit more, maybe frost damage further down the tree. Then my defensive skills. I have got some items that are activated from my gear pieces. Doesn't really matter. As you guys can see, I do have 6 out of 5 ice shards, but it does actually increase it further. That's why I'm keeping it 6 out of 5. You don't have to. As long as you keep the skill tree similar to what I've got, you shouldn't really have a problem. You should have the same outcome that I'm getting when I decimate enemies with this amazing setup. So I tried teleport. I'm not the biggest fan of it. You can use that if you would like to. Need that flame shield, nor flame shield. I don't like it too much. Ice armor is good for survivability. It's very, very nice for mana regen, which is multiplicative. If you see an X next to the percentage amount, that means it's multiplicative. Really, really nice. And also enemies have a chance to become frozen, because we want to try and make as many enemies frozen as we possibly can through chilling or just with spells that actually straight off freeze them, which is really nice. And I've gone towards this right here, which is really, really good. Then we have got Frost Nova, arguably one of the best, if not the best spells in the Sorcerer's arsenal. This is very, very nice. Make sure you guys use this. It's very, very strong. So this will proc freezing all around us. Enemies won't be able to move, and we can dish out huge amounts of damage, multiplicative damage to them from other elements. This is great, and they also become vulnerable, which is good for 4 seconds. So it's 6 seconds against bosses, which is a lot of time, especially if you're playing in a group. Can you imagine your teammates will love you for it? Then make sure you guys do have the vulnerable, like I mentioned earlier. This is very powerful. So Conjuration, I don't have any activated. You guys can. Lightning Spear can be good, but it's just dependent on how you want to play. I want to try and burst enemies down as quick as possible, but also have a bit of utility so I don't struggle too much, especially doing higher difficulties. So we have got Align the Elements, rank 2 out of 3. This is really nice for survivability. I recommend it. And also Mana Shield. Every time you spend 100 mana, you gain a 5% damage reduction for 10 seconds. This is really good. I might actually increase this. For example, take away what I was saying here, this maximum mana, take away Devastation, and put it here. This could be even better because mana is your primary resource for a sorcerer to be able to cast spells. So Protection is also something I've got. I do enjoy that as well. Then moving on to the Mastery skills. Honestly, guys, I do believe that this is one of the best spells on this setup. I have got a very, very good legendary aspect, but this is going to be insane. Like I was saying before, the damage is crazy, and you can actually keep proccing them, and you can stack the damage. So it keeps raining ice. They freeze after chilling for a while, and then they will just get destroyed by the shards and also the explosions from the ice spikes that I've got on my aspect. It's just really crazy. Like, this is really, really fun to use as well. And sometimes if enemies are by a door or beyond a door, I'll just spawn a few of these on them, and this will just kill all of them on World Tier 3. It's just really powerful, and I recommend you give this a try. If you're struggling in the game, this will help you so much. And also I've gone for when cast above 50 mana, Blizzard's duration is increased by 4 seconds, just so it lasts longer. Especially when I put it on a boss over a boss and I move around. I don't have to focus too much on it because it stays there for such a long time. I did try this one, but I didn't really need it because I'm getting mana from other places, but it's up to you. Then I have got something here which does tie in with Arc Clash. So critical strikes with shock skills have up to 5% chance to form crackly energy. Then every time you stun an enemy, you deal extra lightning damage, which is nice. So how are we going to be critting? Now, I'm going to show you how this all ties in with the Arc Clash. This could be really good to go for if you want more mana regen. But over here, guys, make sure you get Coursing Currents. Hitting enemies with shock skills increase your critical strike chance by 1% until you strike, then it resets. This is going to be insane. And also enemies deal less damage 5 seconds after being critically struck. It all ties together and synergizes across the board here. So this is really good because of the Arc Clash, which is the shock skill. So this also will be stunning enemies all over the place, which is great. Enemies can't move, more utility, more AoE. It makes it a lot easier for you. So make sure you guys do give this a shot. This is very, very vital. Then I've also got Icy Veil. Your barriers have a 5% increased duration. This is important because I wanted to make sure that my encasement of ice is going to last a bit longer. It's up to you though. Frost skills have up to a 3% chance to instantly freeze. So this can be really, really powerful. If they do freeze and they're not supposed to have frozen, you'll be able to do all that multiplicative damage to them. So this is quite good. Anything else here? Yes, I have got my deep freeze. I just use this when I'm in trouble, and it does a lot of damage, especially after using Frost Nova when they're all vulnerable. It's very, very nice. And also your non-ultimate cooldowns are reduced by 50%, which is just insane. So I do recommend this. This is very, very nice, guys, and I use it all the time. I tried other elements, but this was just way too good to pass up. Then this is an interesting section here as well. So Permafrost. Frost skills deal 10% multiplicative increased damage to elites. Very, very nice. You deal 6%, which is also multiplicative, increased damage to chilled enemies, and 12% to frozen enemies. Then we've got Icy Touch. You deal 4% increased cold damage to vulnerable enemies. It all ties in here. Then Lucky Hit, cold damage against vulnerable enemies has up to 20% chance to generate 10 mana. It all ties in right here. Then the final one is the key passive. This is really up to you. I've gone for Avalanche. Your Frost skills have up to a 10% chance to make your next cast of Ice Shards, Frozen Orb, or Blizzard consume no mana and deal 40% multiplicative. This has doubled the chance. The chance is doubled against vulnerable enemies. It's very, very good. You can use Shatter. That's up to you, but I do recommend giving this one a go. I have tried this, and it's not too amazing, but it is quite good for AoE damage, so this is on you. Let's take a look at the gear pieces. So this is where I'm going to be getting a lot of damage and utility, mainly from the helmet, the helm, and these 3 jewelry items. So let's start off from the top left. So Frost Blitz Archon Helm. This is really, really powerful. And the reason why is because we get Frost Nova getting an additional charge. The cooldown is increased, but trust me, you don't notice it. Having 2 is more than enough to kill any wave of enemies. And if you need to wait a few seconds to get it back, that's fine. It is really good. It's not vital for this build, but it really does help me a lot. Try farm for this, guys. It's really good. Other pieces, not too important. I do recommend trying to get something like close range damage, and also try get to critical strike damage, because we're going to be critting. The crit chance is higher. And try go for things like extra ranks of the skills that I've been talking about earlier from the skill tree. That'll be really good. Max evade charge is also good. I'm just talking about the normal rare items. 2 ranks of Blizzard, you know, a damage percentage for 4 seconds after killing an elite, some extra willpower. You know, try and get a bit of extra correct stats, but it doesn't really matter. You're going to be leveling up anyway. And on the weapon, I've actually got a new weapon that I haven't put on yet because I wanted to stick it the same as what the gameplay was. Damage close enemies, critical strike damage, up to a 7.2% chance to execute injured non-elites. This is really, really good. But I've actually just got this one, which I'm yet to put on. Damage to close enemies, which is good. Intelligence, and 50% damage to frozen enemies, which is also good. Damage to frost or chilled enemies is good. So anything like that that synergizes, or damage to vulnerable, that's going to be very, very useful. And also some resistances are always good. But then the gloves here, you have a 10% chance, which is multiplicative, increased critical strike chance against injured. So from what I believe, I think injured enemies are when they are below 35% HP. So this will be quite good, and it is a lot of crit chance. So this will help you crit even more. And then, as you know from the skill tree, with all these shock elements, it's going to help us a lot in the setup. Well, you are healthy. So for us to be healthy, we would need to be above 80% HP from what I've seen. You gain 20% increased crowd control duration, which is just really good and perfect for all the freeze. So I really enjoy this. You don't have to have this piece, but it will definitely help. Then make sure you guys put a topaz in there. The topaz is great. These give you, if you put on a weapon, 15% basic skill damage. Also here, I put a diamond for 6% resistance to all elements. So this is the Necklace of Control. This is insane. This is powerful. You guys need to try and get this. Just farm it. There is an aspect like this. So you can't stack aspects, but you can get a normal aspect for this. So go and farm it from a dungeon, guys. This is a great aspect. You deal 45% multiplicative more damage to immobilized, stunned from the arc lash, or frozen enemies with 45% multiplicative damage, and it's going to be multiplying from other elements. Insane. One of the highest damages in the game from an aspect. It's insane. It's crazy. I love it. So make sure you try and farm for this aspect. Like I said, my one's a bit better than normal aspect, but you can get it from dungeons. Then we have got the Glacial Loop. This is why my Blizzard is so good. So when you cast Blizzard, it will periodically spawn exploding ice spikes that deal 252, which is the maximum amount of damage. It's a god roll. Your ice spikes deal 25% multiplicative damage to frozen enemies. It's cool. It's great. It works incredibly well. Just remember, this is the ice spikes, and it's going to be freezing them eventually. Then the ice spikes will explode and deal all that damage. It's amazing. I love that piece of gear. Then we have got the Elementalist Loop. Core or Mastery skills cast at above 100 mana. You can get a normal aspect for this. Gain at 26% as incremental, increased critical strike chance. So this is also good. So if we cast our spikes, for example, from over 100 mana, we get a lot of crit chance, and we have got crit damage, so that does stack up, and we do get more or higher numbers, should I say, from this. So that's the setup, guys. You can go and have a look at other aspects. I think I might just give you a quick overview of some of the other ones from the Codex of Power. We can talk about it quickly. So if we have a look here, I have got Aspect of Inner Calm, which could be really, really good if you're going to be standing still. When you freeze an enemy, there is a 25% chance they become vulnerable. This could be good. Biting Cold. Aspect of the Protector can be good for survivability. Aspect of Control. You deal 25% multiplicative more damage to immobilized, stunned, or frozen enemies. So this is great, and you can unlock it from Sunken Library in Kyrgyzstan, which is very, very nice as well. And also a cooldown one. So there are other similar ones like I mentioned earlier, but as long as you have a few of the aspects, or even none, the build will still work for you. And taking a look at the Elementalist aspect, core or mastery skills cast at or above 100 mana gain a 20% incremental increased critical strike chance. This is from Pallid Delve in Dry Steppes. So hopefully you guys did enjoy this setup video. If you did, please make sure to leave a like, subscribe, pop a comment down below asking me some questions. I'll try my best to answer them, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out, guys.